Let me tell you something nobody talks about. Fixing your big expenses isn't going to solve your problem, specifically when there's just not enough water or income coming down the street. Similarly, at times we end up doing multiple jobs, gaining adequate resources, while the real problem lies in pebbles, your small expenses. There's a beautiful concept of boulders, pebbles, and income which helps us fine tune our money problems and help us work on the areas triggering our personal finance. Hello everyone, in today's video we're trying to understand our money problems to help us figure out appropriate solutions. Welcome back to an Economista channel. Before we get started, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Boulder's pebbles and water metaphor is a popular illustration used in personal finance and time management to explain prioritization. We can use this one on our spending situation and try and improve the areas to better our personal finance.
Mapping it to the spending situation. Boulders are the big rocks. In our spending situation, boulders are big expenses. Expenses like rent money or private school fee. Pebbles are the medium stones, the relatively smaller expenses. The smaller expenses like coffee dates and other stuff. Income is your water.
Sometimes there's just not enough water. What people do is they keep on struggling with their boulders and pebbles, thinking and believing that they are the problem, while the real problem is there's just not enough income. I'll be discussing this one in detail. By the way, I've added timestamps. You can jump to the parts that matter you the most. If the big expenses like boulders are your problem, then cutting down on pebbles won't help. You'll have to look for relatively economical substitutes, like maybe you could move to an economical accommodation which helps you save. Of course, I'm not advocating for a mandatory switch, specifically when it's tied to the amenities you get. Maybe you are living in an accommodation that perfectly aligns with your work situation. Maybe you could go for refinancing your loans or maybe examine the big expenses that you already have. As I mentioned before, knowing your obstacles and problems is important. If you don't know what you're struggling with, then you won't be able to, of course, rectify the problem. Most of the times we blame pebbles, that is, the small expenses, is our problem. We pinch pennies thinking that pebbles or the small expenses are adding to my poor money balance. While at times this isn't true, but there are also situations where this can be a problem. Pebbles could also be a problem for people. Let's see what we can do if pebbles are my problem. A good way is to monitor your weekly spending. Now I know how frustrating this can be. So instead of jotting down every penny you spent, you could try and achieve an estimate. Now, there are also apps which you could use probably for delegating these. Caution here, I usually rely on bank statements. You could also fetch these via UPI apps. Once you know that what is it that maybe you can cut down on, you can literally resort to options like maybe re-examining your small expense. Maybe you're dining out almost every other day. Then you could minimize it or explore other options like maybe get someone to cook or something else. Sometimes what happens is that there's just not enough water or income. So in such a case, your focus should be more on increasing your income instead of reducing your expense. What you could do is start a side hustle or maybe seek a raise in your income. Maybe you could sit down with your manager, discuss the objectives and ask for a raise. If you fail to secure a raise, then you should consider maybe starting a side hustle or in fact even looking for a new job if possible. So examining your boulders, pebbles and water will help you adjust your budget accordingly. Now there are some strategies which you could adopt.
Strategies to deal with boulders problem. If it's possible, you can try make list of all your expenses from biggest to smallest. I know it takes some time. You can use pen, paper or Excel. Add up the top 5 most expensive items. The biggest expenses you see. If your total for these top 5 expenses out of the total share of your overall expenses exceeds 60%, it's likely that you have too many boulders. I have expressed it algebraically. So now you know that you have to deal with boulders.
Now what you could do is try reducing the rent or move to an inexpensive place. Also, you could look for alternatives to the student loans. You could go for refinancing. All of these are handy and they help you focus on the real problem. If you're having a longer list where your smaller expenses, which are located towards the bottom of your list, are longer, then pebbles are your problem. So if your bottom list is longer, then you're struggling with pebbles problem. Try to clear out the unnecessary expenses, the monthly subscription. This helps you save 12 times the amount same year. Another good way is to clear out your expenses without accessing credit card debt. It's a clear marker of progress on your financial goals. I've discussed financial goals briefly in one of my videos. I'll be adding its link in the description. And the final one, when water is your problem. Don't clear away your boulders or pebbles if water is the problem. After you're done enough with reducing your expenses, try to focus on ways to increase your income.
So here are some strategies to deal with water problem. You can consider the opportunities to grow your skills or education. Step back and see the career and income trajectory. You should know exactly the amount of income that you need additionally. You could even ask for a raise.
Don't just ask directly, do some legwork first. Take about 3 to 6 months before you sit for your next review. Review your goals 3 to 6 months before your next review. Sit with your manager. Document positive feedback and achievements. This makes you confident around your raise conversation. You could research the pay at other companies. Apart from that, you could also start a side hustle, maybe monetize and capitalize. If this video helped you reframe how you think about income even a little, give it a like and subscribe to Economista. We talk real world money here without the jargons, without the guilt. Let's figure it out together.
Hope you like the video. Please don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe.